It seems to be really cool for some people to troll women in sports. We live in a country where the so-called leader has no respect for women, and it's made other people feel comfortable to reflect him. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Brian H. Waters here on another edition of Breaking Through the Glass Ceilings with Uncomfortable Conversations. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast, drop a 5-star rating on all podcast platforms, and share it with your friends. Today I want to have a quick discussion about something that's been bothering me lately. And that's just the straight up disrespect of women in sports. Whether it's black women, white women, Latino women, Asian women. All of them have been getting disrespected. And quite frankly, enough is enough. It's not cool. It's not cool at all. I want to go back to last week. We begin the week with Maria Taylor covering her first Monday Night Football game. And some rude hosts had a nerve to say that she looked like she was dressed as if she was hosting an adult film awards. And it's sickening for one, people to just feel like they can say whatever they want and that we care about what they have to say. And obviously, you put stuff like that on social media, there will be reactions. You have some ignorant people who share the same views, but you'll have some people who clap back. And it was really unfortunate to see a black woman have such a great opportunity and a great accomplishment in her career dimmed by this action. You know, it's one thing if somebody would said it on their show and it didn't get back to her, but for this to happen, what the whole world could see and hear and read, and then, you know, yeah, people did clap back, but still, what gave this person the right to even say something like that? Quite frankly, she was looking stunning. And we are in a day and age where things are changing. What was accepted as the norm is no longer accepted. Oh, you telling somebody, oh, you should dress like this, or you should dress like that. No, you don't have the right to do that. You may say you have a preference, but trying to make them conform to your ways. I said, that's 2020. For me, it's time to stop code switching. And it's not necessarily easy to do, but I will say there are certain, it's exhausting, but there are going to be some things that you just won't say in a corporate setting that you'll say in a hood setting. It just is what it is. But another thing that bothered me, we're sticking with Maria Taylor here, was later on in the week, it was revealed that her all-NBA team, the first team, second team, third team votes, did not have Anthony Davis on there. Now, the votes come out, they let you know how many votes certain players had. Why is that important? I have no idea. I'm not sure if, and maybe somebody can correct me, I'm not sure if it's built in these players' contracts that if you receive a certain amount of votes, or if you receive 100% of the votes, or you get a bonus. I do know that you have to get a certain amount of votes. I mean, you get a bonus if you reach first team, second team, or third team. I know that. But does the votes matter? And the reason why I asked, why is it public information? And somebody revealed that, which led to somebody else saying, why does she even have a vote? And of course, she clapped back, simply stating, because she did play the game of basketball. First time I saw Maria Taylor was when she was on a college football show. And obviously, I'm not going to lie, I root for all women in sports just because I would never know what it's like, but I've always respect and value their opinion and their drive to do this. And to be honest with you, it can be fun having a sports conversation with a woman. You mean, look, I'm a member of the Fab Five. Three of them are women: Ashley Baker, Kelsey Nicole Nelson, Renee Washington, and it's me and Brandon Williams. These are like my closest set of media friends. But our bond is so strong that it goes beyond sports, beyond media and journalism. It's life. So we have life discussions. Something happens, I know my brother and my sisters got my back. So I naturally root for women in sports, but I also root for them to be treated equally and fairly. When you look at voting, right? I brought this up on Twitter. There were Ken Griffey Jr., when he went to the Pro Baseball Hall of Fame, he did not get 100% of the votes. To me, he should have been a unanimous decision. He should have been the first unanimous decision for Hall of Famer. He missed it by 3 votes. I believe Derek Jeter may have missed it also. But nobody outed those people. And so if you're not outing them, why do we care that Maria Taylor didn't have Anthony Davis on the ballot? That doesn't discredit her basketball knowledge. And look, I'm a Lakers fan. Everybody knows that who knows me. I'm a diehard Lakers fan. I was just like, he made the team. Bottom line, he made the team. He was on the first team. Him and LeBron James. So there was no reason. So I just wish men would stop disrespecting women, because it's not cool at all. Another thing I want to get to. Now, both of these were white men disrespecting black women. I want to take the time to address a black man disrespecting a white woman. And that was Jason Whitlock. Now, if you know me, it's not, I don't hate anybody, but there are some people, like, I guess you call them public figures, that I just can't stand. Whether it's in sports, media, music, Jason Whitlock is one of them. I never cared for the way he constantly rags on LeBron James. Skip Bayless does it, but it's always about basketball. He'll say stuff, and it's annoying, it's trolling, but it's about basketball. You never, and I gotta double check, but to my knowledge, you never see Skip attack LeBron James' character as a man, as a father. Jason Whitlock's the type of person that would literally go out there and say LeBron James opened up a school just to make himself feel better. That's the type of stuff he did. We saw what he did with Colin Kaepernick. And shame on the dude from Kid and Play who went out there and dressed up as Colin Kaepernick. He mocked him. And he is the person that, quite frankly, Jason Whitlock's the only media person that I literally would want to punch in the mouth. But what he did to Katie Nolan was absolutely disrespectful. He started talking about how she used to be a bartender, and he's like, yeah, she went from a bartender to pretty much I won't say multimillionaire, but she's rich because of her looks. Just straight up discrediting all the work that she's done. And I said on Twitter, I hate when white men do it to black women, and I hate when black women do it to white women. Anybody, because you're disrespecting a woman in sports. The same goes for everybody. And for us men, it is important for us to be allies. NABJ is holding a sports panel for women. NABJ Sports is currently holding a More Than Her Game. I think that's what it's called. Shout out to Ashley Baker, who's a part of the team as far as tweeting out the content. And I was reading some of the sessions, and one of the things they talked about mentors and how the ladies have to be careful. And it's so sad that we live in a society where women can't be comfortable. You just imagine if things were the other way around. If the women were, from the upper body on, stronger than the men. And I'm talking being able to dominate physically and hold a man down and make him do whatever she wants him to do. Imagine if that was the case, and imagine how men would feel knowing that they could get the upper hand. And or if they use their power to coerce women to do what they want them to do. And so I started thinking about that, and I said, it's ridiculous. But it's ridiculous that you have men out here in these positions. And then when you do go to human resources, they look at you like you're crazy, especially if it's a face of the company, if it's somebody that they value. I always recommend this book, and I will continue to recommend my friend Adrienne Lawrence's book, Stay in the Game. And she discusses workplace sexual harassment. I sit there and I learned so much about it reading it. So it's bad enough women got to deal with, ultimately having to prove that they're really good at their job, that they know sports, that just because they may not have, quote unquote, played football, they understand the game. They know the right questions to ask. So I got to deal with that. Then that's just to get the job. Then when they get the job, they have to deal with mentors who can be the ulterior motive mentor. The mentor who says, let me help you with your career. Oh, by the way, you got to go to dinner with me for 3 weeks. You got to be my trophy piece. You got to come home with me. And then, in addition to that, they got to deal with internet trolls, other colleagues, people at competing stations or sister stations saying they're not good enough. I look at one of my favorite media personalities and podcast hosts is Joy Taylor. She hosts the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast. It's actually, be honest with you, one of the inspirations for me to do the wrestling podcast, Break It Down with Brian H., which you can find on all podcasting platforms under the wrestling realm. With her podcast, you know, you listen to her and you get to hear more of her sports knowledge and how she can, just the way she talks about the game. Some of the stuff you didn't hear when she was in the moderating chair for Undisputed. And you hear a little bit when she's with Colin, but with her podcast, you really get to hear her sports knowledge. And of course, if you follow on Twitter, and while you're following her, there's always somebody commenting about how she looks, well, what she says. If she just takes a picture, just a selfie, oh, you're only doing that to bring more attention to yourself. And I've seen it with my friends. I remember when Kelsey and I worked at Fox Sports 1340 together. We'd be at games and you have people saying stuff. Or we would be at, she would do a lot of periscopes and then people would come on there and say stuff that was just ridiculous. So I wanted to discuss this because, like I said, the subject really bothered me. I'm just tired of it. And I'm going to continue to clap back on social media. I'm going to continue to speak up. And if I see male colleagues, I'm going to call them out. You know, one thing we have to do is stop saying, quote unquote, referring to women as females, using it as a noun. You know, don't be out there like, oh, them females this, them females that. No, you don't say those males. They're women. So put some respect on their name. You can refer to females as objects, meaning animals, plants, if they do have female plants. I failed biology. So that's where I am, folks, on this subject. Like I said, it was bothering me. I was irritated. And I've said it's time for an uncomfortable conversation. And this won't be the only one on this subject. I can guarantee you I'll bring in a couple of men, a couple of women to talk about this. Men out there listening, especially those young in your career, support our women in sports. And this goes across all industries too. Medicine, all media, medicine, corporate. We need to be supportive. We need to have their backs. I was watching Michael Smith earlier, actually before I started recording. And he was on Ashley Nicole Moss's show. And one of the things, and anybody know, like Michael Smith is one of my favorite. When I worked at ESPN, I'm not gonna say like we worked together because we didn't, but our paths would cross in the hallway, or especially when I was on social media team because his producer's office was right there. So we've had some conversations between him and Robert Flores. They were two of my favorite people. And, Skip Bayless was one of the people I liked, but, I know he's not very liked right now. But on that show, Michael Smith said, on Ashley Nicole Moss's show, Michael Smith said some things where he discussed how he do like Skip Bayless. I mean, he didn't have a problem with him, but he's kind of glad what he said because it brought everybody to support Dak, and glad that he doubled back on it and understanding that his style of commentary is dangerous. But one of the things he said was, gets done when women are in charge. And I'm like, he's right. He's right. Now, I always tell people I come from a strong black woman. Now, yes, my father and mother have been married for over 37 years, but my mother comes from a long line of strong black women. And like you say, your ancestors, I know if I'm disrespectful, those ancestors ain't going to have it. So I have to do my part as a father, as a son, as a brother. And it's not just for my family, but it's for everybody. So, men, remember, be supportive and support, and stop disrespecting women in sports. That'll do it, ladies and gentlemen, for this episode of Breaking Through the Glass Ceiling with Uncomfortable Conversations. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you share it with your friends. Also, make sure you check out the Breaking Through Glass Ceilings standard episodes. This week coming up, I have my good friend Anthony Johnson we went to high school together at Baltimore City College. Anthony is a certified NBA agent, so he's going to come in and talk about that process. If you missed last week's episode, I had my good brother Kyle Andrews on there. Kyle actually just stated, men, we need to hold each other accountable when it comes to disrespecting women. But yeah, Kyle is a sports writer with the Baltimore Sun. So he comes in and talks about covering his hometown and the responsibilities that come with that. But in the meantime, folks, remember, do not let anybody set up a ceiling that you can't break through. This podcast is brought to you by B. Waters Productions. It is produced and edited by myself, Brian H. Waters, with the music brought to you by Hypnosis. You can find Hypnosis on Instagram at hypno_beats.